Very good. There's a couple of things that I wanted to show. And if you're a Metastock user and you have something that you want to ask, we're going to basically just do a QA session. So there's a few things that I've been using recently, and I'm just going to kind of start to talk about them while you type in some questions. If nobody types in any questions, I'm just going to assume that you're all tired and that kind of thing. But the first thing that I kind of want to show you in Metastock has to do with finding good stocks that are currently trending. And Vince said it earlier today. He's like, what you want to be able to do is focus on the best stocks that are trending either up or down. And there's a set of, the candy's a killer. There's a set of scans in Metastock that'll help you do that. And so I'm going to show you exactly which ones they are. Let me go ahead and open up the power screener here. And if you have, there's a lot of really good scans in here that start with Equus, but these two I've been particularly using quite a bit. The ones that we're going to kind of run, you can see I've got some reports here. It's Equus performance on a daily basis and on a monthly basis. So, I mean, obviously, you've heard kind of the cliche, a trend, trade with the trend, or the trend is your friend, or a rising tide lifts all boats. But the idea here is, okay, how can we actually go in and find out what stocks are going up really fast or going down really fast? And how can we kind of build a list around stocks that are just not kind of sideways? How do we know which are going down? So this is a scan I use rather frequently. You can see the performance. They both have reports for them. If I run the performance, I'll look at 1, 15, 10, 30, and 60-day performance. So you can actually kind of see what's going up or down that way. If I run the monthly, it's going to show me 1, 3, 6, 12, and 24-month performance. Now, one thing I will advise you about with this particular scan is if you do run this monthly performance, you want to set it to the monthly periodicity because it's looking at those 1-month levels, okay? It's just the way the program's designed to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this as an exploration. I'll show you how the report looks. And this is really, I kind of mentioned that I was looking a lot at AMD recently. I found it on this scan. So we'll just go ahead and let it run. It shouldn't be taking too long though. It's maybe a little bit tired. So it should be done by now actually. So in any case, we'll give it it would be nice if I could type properly. It'd be nice if I could spell properly. And of course, we have a failure to start. Let me see here. I did, let's see. Let's just run it again. Start. Okay. Well, maybe while that's running, I'll show you. Okay, there we go. The system tends to get a little bit bogged down after it's done recording 8 hours of video in a given day. So we'll just go ahead and let it finish here. S&P says, thank you, Jeff and team. You're welcome, SP. I'm glad you came today. All right, you'll see that it doesn't generally reject a lot. The ones that it's rejecting probably don't have trades lately or something like that, but it's just generally designed to kind of rank them based on how much they've changed. And that'll become very, very apparent when I show you the report. So right here, we've got the close, okay? You've got the 1-month performance. So if we sort this by performance, Sears Holding is down 62% for over the last month. We've got Pacific Biosciences of California that's up 69% over the last month. We can also look at this by 3 months, 6 months, and by 12 months. So if we wanted to find something that had just really taken off this year, we can go ahead and take a look at Fossil Group. It's up 234. Although the 1 month, it's up about 8%, 4% over. So it's really starting to kind of climb up in the last 6 months, or in the previous 6 months, and it's kind of flattened out. Here we've got the next one is Avexis Ordinary, Weight Watchers. Anyway, when I'm going to look at good stocks that have trended quite a bit, this is the scan I'm looking at. Generally, it was like Vince was saying before, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to find stocks that are in a good trend. The best way to find if they're in a bullish or a bearish trend is to run a scan and just figure out how much they've been up over whatever time frame or whatever time period you want. Of course, you can save the list of like the top gainers or whatever, but typically this is something that I found very useful over the last, let's say, year or so. Second thing I want to show you. Olga says most likely tool maintenance, US, us. Uh, smiley face, smiley face. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Trey says, why can't I work as efficiently as Metastack? Just, I don't know. We can help you if you have questions, if you have problems, if you need a little bit of help, just give us a call. Those support guys are awesome. Does monthly use the first day of the month, last day of the month, or the current day of each month? So it'll use the most current. That's actually a really good question. When it's looking at a bar, it's going to look at the current bar. So what we might want to do when we're running that, that's actually, Vern, I had not thought about that before, but since we're doing the scan on 11/3, it's going to be looking at October as our final monthly bar. And what we might want to do is actually not use, I'm sorry, it'll be using November, the first couple of days of November. So what we may not want to do is we may not want to use current date and time. What we might want to actually do is set this to October 30th. And that way it'll use the last full month of October instead of just looking at this month. I'd never really thought of that, but it's going to be using that monthly bar. The first month that it would look at is actually November 1st and 2nd, which isn't really that much of a month. So it makes perfect sense for us to use monthly, but look at the latest completed month. Vern, I'm actually glad you said that. So there's another thing that I want to show you, another couple of scans that I find extremely helpful. I've shown these before. Stockstar says, does Metastock work with real-time intraday Canadian stocks and options? Absolutely. So you can do scanning, you can go up and open up real-time charts. We cover not only the US and Canada, we also cover Mexico, Brazil, India, London. We only cover about 200 different exchanges. So you're going to be able to trade just about anything you want to in Metastock. Thank you for the question, Stockstar. Yep, only about 200. So only about 58 or 60,000 different global market, only about 95% of the global market cap is what Reuters says they have data for. So another thing that and I've shown this before, but I absolutely love some of the dynamic trading tools that are in Metastock. In fact, I like them so much that I actually had them include a template to view all of these in the new version. Before I would show them and I'd say I've built this template with all of the dynamic trading tools, but I got sick of emailing that template out to everybody, and so what I did is I actually kind of had them include a dynamic trading tool template. So I'm going to apply it to the chart. I'll just explain what we're looking at here. And in the Metastock program, it's called like dynamic trading tools. So it's a template. You can just apply it as you would any other template. I'm going to go ahead and apply it right now. What this is going to do is it's going to load in a bunch of data, and it's going to draw based on its calculations where it sees support and resistance currently. Okay, and there's quite a few different ways that they look at it. If you actually look at the indicators, there's going to be short-term resistance and a long-term resistance, and then there's going to be an upward trend line and a downward trend line. So what I did to just kind of make this more available for everybody on a chart is I just put all of them on a template, and so as long as it finds levels, it'll draw them on the chart for you. So, and some of the levels are a little bit light, so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, but you'll see this green area is finding basically resistance in the Dow right here. You'll see a really tiny little dot right here. That's the shorter term resistance. So right now we're kind of banging up against both longer term resistance and shorter term resistance. Here's where you see some support areas forming. And if I scroll out just a little bit, you'll see that this will automatically show support any trend lines that it sees. So this is a longer term support level that we've seen on the Dow, started back here on this, and these lines are just automatically drawn. So it'll calculate them, it'll look at them. We had a bit of a penetration of this long-term trend line and it bounced back in the channel this week, but you can see that's drawn right on the channel for you. A lot of people like to trade breakouts of support or resistance, and you can. These charts, these lines, you can actually visualize and just put some on there for you. The other thing that you might want to be able to do is just be able to go in and run the scan. So if you come in here, you can run any of those DT support and resistance breakout scans. You can look for trendline breakouts, long-term or short-term. Basically, you just run them like any scan. So if we wanted to look for things that have broken above or below a trend line on a long-term basis, we just basically put this scan in. Again, we just define our list, start the scan, and it'll come back with the results. So that's the second thing I wanted to show you. Vern, that's perfect timing, Vernie. I'm glad you asked this question because now we're going to the Q&A session. Please explain the type of product trading that is provided and in a good amount of detail, I think is what you're trying to say there. Please explain what type of metastock product training is provided and the amount of detail. So the first thing that we're going to recommend that you do when you start metastock is to go through what we call the Unleash the Power of Metastock training. And that's the course I've been talking to you about. And instead of describing that in a great amount of detail, I'll show it to you. So this comes with a little bit of a workbook. I'm going to go ahead and load up to the page here, and I'll just show you exactly kind of what it looks like and what is available for you. So as part of the initial course that you go through. So let me drag this over. It's loaded up. And my computer's running a bit slow here, but right here, this is kind of the first of the training sessions. When you sign up, this URL basically be mailed to you, and this is the first course. There is, in addition to this, a workbook that comes in a PDF format that is designed to go in conjunction with the course. Okay. So you'll see right here, this is the introduction video. As part of this UPM, there's basically around 10 classes that you can go through. So, and I'll just, here you've got introduction to charting, introduction to the new Explorer, running back testing, more on back testing, the forecaster, pattern recognition in the forecaster. There's a system in Metastock that I talk a lot about called the RMO. There's a class on that. This talks about some of the sector analysis and the sector tools that are available in Metastock. And if you're interested in downloading data and storing it on your hard drive, this last chapter will tell you how to do that. So that's the Unleash the Power of Metastock course. The other thing that you can do is once you get done with that, there's all kinds of training. If you just go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Metastock, I'd recommend you go up there right now and subscribe to our channel. The plug, but there's all kinds of different training. So you can go through some different Zenith related courses here. You can go in and I see a lot of my picture up here. You can go through any of the classes. We generally put all of the webinars we do up here. We put a lot of training that we do up here. So this is a good resource for you to come to. So to answer your question, that's the training that's provided. Trey asks, is it a PDF or a physical workbook? It is a PDF. And thank you for answering that, David. I already have Metastock. Can we find like a dictionary with all the stock tipping per stock? For example, Tenaris, cause. Sometimes I can't find the search bar. Okay, Alejandro, you just need to update your symbol database. We can help you with that. There is a directory that lists all of the stocks. We go in and clean it out from time to time, but it does require that you go in and update, and it doesn't take very long. So Trey says, I live and die by the Metastock forecaster, my favorite part of Metastock. Well, Trey, I'm glad you like it. It is a very, very cool tool. So and I appreciate you're using Metastock. I'm gonna put that comment so everybody can see it. And beyond UPM, which is an overview, is there more structured training? Vern, that's pretty much what we've got to kind of get you started with that. But in the videos that we have here up on YouTube, they go into very specific details in terms of how to run different things. And we cover everything from like Metastock to, we even have videos on like how to program your own formulas. And so if there's something specific that you're looking for, writing your own system tests, I mean, we do a lot of different videos on a lot of different topics. So I'd say if you've gone through UPM and you're looking to kind of expand your knowledge, our YouTube site is going to be a great place to look around at. Okay. All right. Do I have any more? Do I have to subscribe to Metastock to access Equus? No. Oh, yeah. So if you have Metastock, those things that I showed you, the Equus scans, are just included in Metastock. So that Equus scan that shows the, I think I understand your question. Feel free to let me know if I don't. But these things that are named Equus Performance, those are basically included. The DT trend lines, pretty much everything I've shown you today, with the exception of when we're talking specifically about add-ons, but everything I showed you in the Q&A session and everything I showed you in the session I did about system testing is included as part of Metastock. Jeff Silverbeck says, see my previous question, please. I don't see it. David's going to go look for it. If I do miss a question and it's important, I only have kind of a limited area to see questions, so please feel free to type it in again if I haven't hit it. But David is going to look for the answer for you. And I'm running out of questions. I'm going to scroll up a little bit to see if we have more that was missed. Okay. Trey says, you're missing 5%. Yeah, yeah. The funny thing is in the 21 years I've worked for Metastock, there was only one time that I wanted to find a market. We had a dealer, I think in Jamaica, that wanted to be able to look at the Jamaican Stock Exchange, which was a very, very active exchange with about 23 stocks that were highly illiquid. It's the only time I haven't been able to find something that Reuters, or it was the only time I've been able to find something that Reuters didn't have, was that Jamaican Stock Exchange. So, all right, well, I think we're out of questions. I'm gonna scroll all the way down here. Vern asked a question, what kind of product manuals are provided? So we don't print any manuals anymore, but all of the manuals that we used to print are built into the software. So when we had printed versions, they were like 600 pages long. The thing that we don't print them, but like I was showing with the MACD example, all of that help is actually available in the program. So if you have questions about something like an indicator or how something works or anything like that, like let's just plot the directional movement again, you can right click on that indicator, you can go to help about that indicator, and it's going to give you very, very specific instructions about how the indicator is calculated, how it's interpreted, how to plot it on a chart. And I'll just show you this. I've already got the directional movement on the chart. If I go to help here, what we've got is, let me drag it over onto the right screen, but what we've got is very, very specific information about what it is, suggested reading, how to interpret it, how to plot it on the overview and the parameters of it. So there is extensive. When we did print out that manual, it was about 600 pages. So it's gotten only bigger since then, but it's all included in the software. Jeff says, will the offer be available for me? Oh, yeah, so yeah. Yeah, thank you for your interest, Jeff. If the offer is available for you, there's not a huge deadline on the offer. I'd encourage you to go ahead and get started. We've had a lot of orders. We're going to have a support rep actually kind of get in there and help you install it if you want that kind of help. But if you don't have, I'd recommend you do it soon. Okay, we don't have a firm cutoff on the offer. Trey says, anyone from the Caribbean or with family from there will know what I mean by that. I didn't see the previous comment, so. Okay. Jeff says, I didn't hear it because of the spotty reception on the road, but some of what I heard sounded really cool. Thank you, Jeff. It was, I guess. Where do you find or how do you find the speakers for the summit? Trey, that's a really good question. Usually the people we bring in are people that I've been working with in the industry for 10 or 20 years. We find some of the one of the questions that we ask in the survey that you're going to get when we shut down the seminar is going to be who do you think we should invite to summits? We get some from there. A lot of it is research that we do, and people that we're currently working with. We generally invite people that we trust and that we know have a good reputation in here. But typically it's just people we know and people we've been working with for a number of years. And we've been doing this for long enough that, we have a lot of friends in the industry, and we really appreciate that. Yeah, okay. Okay, very good. I did not show the Forecaster SP. I can give you a little bit of a tour of the Forecaster. That won't be that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and do that. I haven't even talked about it at all. So Mac, to answer your question about the RMO ATM 3.0, it's in testing right now. We've had a couple of issues. Rahul fixed them. We're testing it again. So I anticipate that'll be available within the next week to 2 weeks. So, okay. Now, if you guys remember, I'm going to try and kind of show in a very on-the-fly way how the forecaster works. If you remember when we were talking about the system tester, the idea behind the system tester is if we get a buy signal on a chart and we use it to buy, and then we get a sell signal and then we get out, what is the net account value at the end? How much does our account go up? How much does it go down? That's the question we look to answer when we talk about the system tester. The forecaster actually looks at it in a little bit of a different way than that, but the idea is the same. Instead of trying to figure out what an account is likely to do, I'm just going to go ahead and start this with a Dow chart. What the idea for, or a DIA ETF chart, what the idea behind the forecaster is to say, okay, well, generally these buy signals are going to be events. It might be that your Bollinger Band is crossed up, or it might be something that we look at a bit as like a 52-week high. With the forecaster, it might be a double bottom or a V bottom or an ascending triangle. But generally, what you're looking at is an event, and what you've heard is, okay, well, when a stock hits a V, it's very likely to go up. What the forecaster looks at, and you can tell how tired my computer appears to be getting. This usually doesn't take this long to run. But what it tries to answer is, okay, well, how likely is it to go up? Is it likely to go up at all? Is it likely to go flat? How likely is it to go flat? So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll wait here. Okay. Okay, we've got this back. Well, I just have one event here. I drew this and I want to give you an idea of what exactly all of the events look like. So I'm going to rescan based on all of the available patterns. So what we're looking to do is say, okay, well, if an event happens, is it likely to go up? How likely is it? What does that look like in terms of, let's say, probability, for lack of a better word? So to kind of give you an idea of what those events are, while this is running, I will kind of show you our recognizer library. So the first event that's on here is what happens if a stock goes 5 days down in a row, or 5 days up in a row? Or what if there's a 52-week high? What if there's certain candlestick patterns on a chart? You'll notice I've drawn some charts from some patterns from a chart, and I'll show you how that works. But most of these are technical patterns or time and date type patterns. And what we want to say is, okay, well, if an event happens on a chart, what does it look like in terms of a probability? So I think it's done now. It's pulled all of the data. We definitely have all of these things that are kind of in here. And this Dow drop was a pattern that I put on the chart based on October 31st. I was looking at the Dow significant drop. So I actually drew that off of the chart. So, and I just called it when I called it, I named it down drop. Okay. Right now we've got the Chaikin. Before that we have the Chaikin oscillator, and you'll notice that these events are all sorted based on what's happened most recently. So I can go ahead and switch between these events, and we can kind of see that when I do switch between events, the arrows that point up or down up here change. Okay. They change because right now we're looking at a major support. Before we were looking at a positive divergence in the money flow index. So these events, they appear as triangles on the chart, and all it's telling me is this is when this particular chart occurred. Okay. If I scroll up a little bit, I want to give you an idea of kind of the analysis that we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to drag this up a little bit, and just to kind of give you an idea, I will say first of all, this isn't done completely based on statistics alone. There's quite a bit of other analytics that we're doing that have to do with our patent application that were put together by Lee Hillman. I'd also say this, if you're interested in kind of reading a little bit more on how this works, I'm going to put in my email address, and you can email me, and I'll set you a FAQ that was put together by our the programmer that did all the major work on this. So you can send me an email. I'll dig up that forecaster FAQ, and it goes into a lot more details about the actual math, because I'm not a statistician, but to kind of give you an idea of some of the statistics that are included, if you just read this, there's a bunch of information about here about event frequency and how often it happens and that kind of stuff. But then you'll get to the statistics part where it says 7 bars after the event, 95% probability that it's 1.1% or higher. 14 days, it's 0.80% higher with a standard deviation of 0.549, 30 days after 0.9. So what it's doing is it's kind of looking at kind of what happens after this event and trying to make a statistical analysis to say, okay, does it go up? Does it go down after that? The product of all of this analysis, and I'm just going to scroll this down a little bit more, the product of that statistical analysis is what we call a forecast cloud. So let me explain a little bit about how this works. So if you look at here, this is 1 day after the event. You see the 1 at the bottom. This would be 7 days after the event. This is 14 days out of the event, 60, 30, 60, 90. And you can change this. You can kind of, each of the event that you're looking at will have a default focus of either 30, 90, or 180 bars. Any of those, but you can change that manually if you want. We basically look at 90 bars because this MFI positive divergence, it makes sense to look at 90 bars for that, okay? So this is what we call a forecast cloud right here. Over here, this basically is time. So this is 0. No, this is time. This is price change as expressed in percentage. So you see 2.5%, 5. Each of these lines is a 2.25% change. Okay. Over here, you kind of see a little bit of a map to the forecast. So this is kind of a bit of what they call a probability scale. So the dark blue areas are probable only about 30 to 50% of the time. As it gets a little bit darker here, 60%, 70%, 80%, and then 90% and 95% plus. So if I'm looking at this, what it's telling me is usually when this MI5 divergence happens, about 1 day, 95% of the time, it'll be at least 0 to 2.5% higher, 95% probable, okay? As we go out in time, 14 days out, what we're seeing is right here, 80% probable in this dark red area, from about right here to here. As we get into kind of the lighter shaded areas, this is more of a 70% probability. And I don't even look at the blues because 30 to 40% probability, like you might as well flip a quarter at that point. But this just kind of gives us a likely plot price outcome, okay? I can go back over to the chart, and what I can do is I can click on this MFI reading that happened, and it'll put that forecast cloud on the chart for us. So we can kind of see within what type of a probability that's likely to happen. So it just happened here. You'll notice that since it has happened, it's kind of gone back into that high probability zone. What we're kind of looking to see is it might bounce a little bit harder. I kind of think it's going to kind of pull back down to the probability zone, but that's just an opinion, right? But we're very likely to kind of channel out, and that's what it's telling us. So that's how the forecaster works in a 5,000 foot view. The way I like to look at this is right now, I'm going to go ahead and just click off of it so that we can get out of the chart view. But what we have right here is a very classic kind of V pattern setup. It's come down and it's up a little bit more. And I'm actually going to make this a pattern in my forecaster. So if I click right here on the user defined pattern selection screen, I'm going to draw a little bit of a square around this V that I'm seeing on the chart in perfect detail. And I'm going to define a drawn pattern. Now you can hand draw into your patterns and that kind of stuff in there. This is going to open up a pattern editor. This is the pattern that I just took off of the chart. And what I want to see is based on kind of this activity we've got, I'm going to call this Dow setup on 11.3, okay? I have to take, it doesn't accept the dash number, so put in spaces. And then I'm going to just basically save that pattern out. I'll leave the pattern sensitivity on medium. There's 3 options there. There's all kinds of options in here, but now what I'm going to do is click on save, okay? I'm going to unselect all of the other patterns. So I'm just going to disable all of them just so this runs really quick. I'll rescan based on the current bar. And now what it's going to go is it's going to go back in time and it's going to look for that similar price activity and where it's happened on the chart. And we'll see if there's anything that's similar to this in the Dow history. So we'll go ahead and let it run. And while it runs, I think it's mostly having issues with grabbing data. So it must be the internet bandwidth right now. All right, SP, you're welcome. I'm wondering if this is going to come back. I'm also looking at questions to answer. Does the forecaster tell you which recognizer had the best returns? There is a scan in there that basically says you would show me which ones have the highest profit potential. There's also scans in there that allow you to say which ones are most accurate right now. So, okay, it came back. Man, I just think my computer needs a restart. So right here, if I hover over this pattern right here, I'm going to have a pattern confidence match of 95%. It's actually 100% because I just took it off of this particular chart. I can actually look at some of the other times that's occurred. You'll see right here, the blue line is the chart, the line that we took out of the forecaster. The red line is what actually happened. So this matches 78% of the forecast. We can look at here, okay? We can look at here, and we can look at here. And we're already kind of getting a good idea of what happens afterwards. Like I can say, okay, well, there's a huge run up after that happened. It did tick down again after that if you just kind of look really closely, but then it went straight up, right? You can look right here and said, okay, well, you can kind of get an idea. Here it had a nice little bump afterwards. Here it kept going down. So this is the kind of stuff that here it went down. So if I go to the forecast cloud, it'll kind of it's giving me a bit of a mixed result. In fact, it's giving me an exactly mixed result. We don't have any yellow super high probability here. Right now, based on kind of what we're looking at, it's basically calling 80% probability of being plus or minus, well, plus 4% or minus 2%. But you see the market still needs a little bit of shaking out to kind of determine. And I think this actually kind of represents pretty good the confusions that's out there. You know, we're seeing a lot of bars on the Dow where, you know, it's a battle between the bulls and the bears still. So what I'm personally waiting for is to see kind of a decision to make. Right now I see a lot of indecision. And we're in, I'm waiting for that decision to come in. So, all right. So there's your forecaster in a nutshell. SP, you're welcome. Let me go ahead and close down here. I want to remind you guys, well, I want to remind you of the phone numbers. We still have a couple of guys that are here. They're available. I would encourage you, the thing I'd like to say is, um, Metastock's been rated #1 in its price category 25 years in a row. You should at minimum try it. In addition, we've spent all this time working with Price Headley, Vince Fora, Barry Burns. These are some Chuck Hughes. These are some of the most loved add-ons in Metastock, and that 1796 price is such a great price. I'd encourage you to try it out. I don't think you're going to regret it. You can give us a call, 800-882-3040. You can visit us online at metastock.com/sales chat. Oh, Max, sure. I can show you exactly. One more question. Mac has another question. We'll go ahead and answer it right now. Show us the options that we have to rank the forecasters. I was going to show you that, and it was just taking too long to come back. And I think it's just, maybe I need to check the size of my disk or something, because I am saving all of these videos up on the drive, and I think it's just getting slow. So if we come back here, these are the different ways you can rank your forecaster events. Now I only ranked one, but the options are still the same. You can change you can sort them based on the highest profit potential, long or short, the most accurate current forecast, the most pronounced, the most distinct, the most recent, the one that has the most events. So you might, if you want to be able to say, well, the more events that we have, the more statistically significant it is, you might want to go by the most events, or you can just sort them alphabetically by the recognizer name. So those are the options that you should look at, okay? Johan asks a question. Johan, good to see you again. Which are your preferred indicators for longer term 4 to 6 month holdings? If you're new to the Metastock program, one of the systems I'd strongly recommend that you look at is the RMO system that's built into Metastock. I've done probably about 300 or 400 different classes on it. And it is the first system that I ever traded with, and I've shown it everywhere, all over the globe. It is certainly one of the most loved systems at Metastock. So start with that. For a 3 to 4 to 6 month hold time, which is what you're asking for, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Now that doesn't mean all of your trades will last 4 to 6 months, but on average, as long as they generally have a tendency to stay in a trend for a while. So play with that. It's a good place to start. Can I show one chart with the RMO? Well, what chart do you want me to show? I can show one chart with the RMO. And I'll send you, I'll actually send you a video with a Perky or Jeff showing you the RMO. So let me find that real quick. Okay. We go to our YouTube channel, Metastock. I'll send you, and tell me what chart you want to look at with RMO. I'll be happy to kind of show it to you. Oh, I've already got our YouTube video up, and I'll also post a link out to a legitimate class about it. Actually, 3 steps to a successful trade. It's the name of that class. I did one at the last summit, as a matter of fact. I did one 4 weeks ago. Here you go, copy link. Okay. RMO is completely included with Metastock SP. So there you go. There's a full class on it, Johan, that you can watch with a little bit of a perkier Jeff. To show one chart, absolutely can show one chart with the RMO, and kind of let's see. I've got the Dow up. We'll just do Dow. Okay. So let me go ahead and apply the template. Apply. No. Okay. There's one chart. Typical rules, and I go through the video, but you don't take short trades while it's in a bullish phase. You use the arrows to kind of get you into trades, but you use that in conjunction with the short-term trend, money management. So watch the video. Sky, you have a great day too. And And yes, SP, this RMO is a regular tool that's built into Metastock. All right, guys, I think that's gonna do it. I want to thank you guys for coming. I'm going to put up the phone number again here. If you have questions, you want to get some information on Metastock, you want to get that toolbox order in, give us a call, 800-882-3040, or visit us online at metastock.com/sales chat. I hope you enjoyed today's session. I want to thank you guys for coming, and try out Metastock. You'll love it. In any case, I'll see you at the next event.